Welcome to Big Shakti's Light on Yoga and Meditation podcast. My name is Dr. Swami Shankardev Saraswati. I'm a yoga acharya, medical doctor, psychotherapist, and Vedic astrologer. And I'm co-creator of Big Shakti, along with my partner, Jane Stevenson. Jane is a writer, intuitive healer, and spiritual counselor who uses yoga, Jungian psychology, and dream work in her practice. This podcast is dedicated to providing you with authentic, accurate knowledge and access to a range of powerful techniques from different wisdom traditions to achieve optimal health, enlightenment, and prosperity. Welcome to this episode of Big Shakti's podcast. Over nearly 50 years as a medical doctor and yoga therapist, I've discovered that true healing requires us to look beyond symptoms to understand the deeper architecture of our minds and consciousness. In this podcast episode, I'll introduce you to an ancient map of consciousness called Samkhya that has revolutionized how I practice medicine and help people to heal. This episode offers a glimpse into the framework that we'll be exploring in depth through our upcoming workshop series at Big Shakti. Starting in March 2025, we'll be hosting monthly workshops that dive deep into this fascinating intersection of Eastern wisdom and Western medicine. And today's episode will give you a taste of how this 4,000-year-old wisdom surprisingly aligns with modern neuroscience and can be practically applied to challenges like anxiety and depression. The workshops will help you to understand how your mind really works. Not just the surface thoughts and emotions, but the deeper patterns that shape your experience. Whether you're struggling with mental health challenges, working as a healthcare professional, or simply curious about integrating ancient wisdom with modern medicine, you'll get a sense of the practical insights that we'll be exploring in our workshop series. The monthly workshops at Big Shakti will build on these foundations, offering in-depth training in combining traditional practices like meditation and pranayama with modern medical understanding. We'll create a comprehensive framework for understanding mental health through both Eastern and Western lenses. So let's begin this journey of mapping the territory of consciousness and discovering practical tools for lasting change. And if what you hear today resonates with you, I invite you to join us for the full workshop series where we'll explore these concepts in much greater depth. My name is Dr. Swami Shankardev. I am a medical doctor, yoga therapist, and psychotherapist. I've been practicing in this field for almost 50 years. And while still a medical student, I felt that there had to be more to healing than just treating symptoms, which was the bulk of what we did as a junior doctor. This led me to India, where I spent 10 years studying under great yoga masters, and what I discovered there transformed my understanding of the human mind, soul, spirit, and consciousness, and what's possible for healing. Today, I integrate Western, integrative or holistic mind-body medicine with hypnosis, Ayurveda, and yoga therapy, along with both Eastern and Western approaches to psychotherapy, which include Carl Jung's depth psychology and somatic psychotherapy. I have focused on chronic physical and psychological conditions, including heart disease, cancer, digestive disorders, diabetes, premature aging, high blood pressure, asthma, and many other complex chronic medical issues. And regarding mental illness, I treat mainly anxiety, depression, emotional dysregulation, and trauma. And my approach to mental illness encompasses ego strengthening, soul and spiritual development, which is all part of existential or transpersonal psychology. Now, we're about to start a series of workshops that will give you an overview of my approach to mental illness, focusing in this lecture on yoga therapy and in the series mainly on yoga therapy. A second series of lectures later in this year will explore how I integrate Western medicine, integrative medicine, Ayurveda, and yoga therapy. Each workshop will feature a lecture, essential meditations that I use in my medical practice, and opportunities for you to ask questions. And yoga therapy, I prefer to use the term yoga-tantra therapy because modern yoga therapy has emerged from both the yoga and the tantra traditions, along with several other Indian philosophies. I'll describe how we integrate modern medical approaches with yogic and tantric strategies for mental health and explain how to apply them in practice. For example, we can utilize antidepressants when necessary, alongside Western psychological ego-strengthening methods, Jungian depth psychology, mindfulness, and yoga tantra techniques to explore the mind and psyche. And a combination of antidepressants with mindfulness, meditation, and mantras can be a powerfully holistic approach for a patient experiencing moderate or even severe depression. This approach aims to reduce excessive thinking, restore emotional balance, and restore the feeling function. I find that patients can be classified into two main groups: those who think too much, they try to suppress their emotions and their feelings, and those who are swamped by emotions and cannot access their rational, logical minds. Both groups seem to be stuck in a kind of archaic part of themselves, ruled by a very unhappy inner child. A key takeaway is that yoga therapy helps patients to engage in self-management. Self-management aims to empower individuals in their recovery by equipping them with skills and confidence to actively recognize and manage their health conditions. And there is ample evidence showing that such interventions do support patients dealing with various long-term physical and mental health issues. Patients gain the knowledge and skills to take greater control of their health and enhance their mental and emotional well-being. And this empowers them to feel more autonomous and collaborative in their healing process. From the outset, in a talk on mental illness, it's important to emphasize that I find for moderate to severe mental illness that a Western medical approach is the best first step, particularly in severe cases. The proper use of medication can alleviate the nearly unbearable distress linked to severe anxiety or depression, enabling the patient to regain their balance and then explore alternative methods for managing their condition. And they can choose other forms of therapy that suit them based on their unique capabilities, their nature, and interests. And it's a good opportunity to explore ways of helping themselves to try different methods. In mild cases of anxiety or depression, yoga therapy alone, which includes mindfulness, postures called asana, breathing techniques called pranayama, mantra chanting and visualizations, can often be sufficient if the person is open to such an approach. Now, when we combine East and West, Western medical and Eastern systems, to truly develop a comprehensive approach to mental health, we have to integrate the best of both of these very powerful perspectives: the conventional scientific framework of modern medicine and psychology and the deep esoteric wisdom of yogic and spiritual traditions. And each provides unique insights and tools for understanding and healing the mind, and each has its own strengths and weaknesses. Modern science offers us evidence-based treatments, neurobiological insights, and systematic approaches to mental health care. Now, despite these advancements, we're confronted with increasing mental health challenges globally. Our mental health systems remain severely underfunded and struggle to meet the rising demand in an increasingly complex and challenging world. And therefore, it is essential to revisit ancient wisdom traditions which provide complementary insights. They have time-tested practices for nurturing awareness emotional resilience, and inner transformation that science is only really beginning to validate now. By thoughtfully integrating these approaches, we can create a more comprehensive toolkit for mental well-being. It isn't about selecting one system over another, that's one is better than another, but rather it's about understanding how they can synergistically work together, using the precise rigor of science combined with the depth and insight that comes from the transformative power of spiritual practices. We can form an expanded framework that addresses both symptoms and the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. This integration will allow us to meet people where they are, whether they seek conventional treatment or deeper spiritual growth, while offering them access to the full spectrum of healing possibilities. This is an approach that honors both the measurable and the mystical, the practical and the profound. So this series of workshops examines the science of mental health, emotional regulation, and psycho-spiritual development through an Eastern perspective. And as I said, this perspective is best used as an adjunct to Western medicine, as both approaches have great strengths and are synergistic when combined. Yoga therapy and Eastern systems of mind-body medicine delve into the connection between the psychological and the sacred. They acknowledge that mental health goes beyond symptom management to embrace deeper questions of meaning, purpose, and self-realization. And from this distinct Eastern viewpoint, challenging life experiences that test our psychological and emotional resilience can become potential pathways to self-transformation rather than mere hindrances. Traditional yogic practices such as meditation, mantra, and breathwork serve as powerful tools for immediate psychological healing and deeper spiritual awakening. This dual approach includes both practical skill building, enhancing emotional regulation and mental clarity and psychological strength, and a profound journey of self-discovery. And when approached with the right understanding and tools, even our most difficult experiences can turn into meaningful steps towards self-realization, meeting both our immediate psychological needs and the deeper spiritual yearnings that define our human experience. And this journey not only equips us to address life's challenges, but also transforms them into opportunities for growth, healing the everyday mind as well as the deeper layers of our being. So now let's look at Samkhya. And our first workshop in March 2025 is on Samkhya. It's the oldest and most fundamental of Indian philosophical systems. It provides the theoretical foundation for yoga therapy and all major schools of Indian thought. It dates back over 4,000 years and offers a sophisticated map of human consciousness, precisely describing how the universe and human experience arises from the interaction between pure consciousness and primordial matter, between Purusha and Prakriti, or Shiva and Shakti. Samkhya forms the foundation for all the other workshops in this series and beyond. And this ancient system is remarkably relevant to modern therapeutic practice. It offers deep insights into the relationship between mind, body, and spirit. It provides a practical framework for understanding psychological suffering and its resolution. Through Samkhya's lens, we can understand how mental patterns form, how emotions arise, and most importantly, how transformation and healing become possible. By studying this philosophical foundation first, we gain a comprehensive understanding of the mechanisms of yoga therapy, enabling us to work more effectively with both psychological and physical conditions. And this knowledge serves as an essential bridge between ancient wisdom and modern therapeutic approaches. It offers us insights that are surprisingly aligned with the current neuroscientific understanding of consciousness and mental health. So why is Samkhya so important and so significant? Well, imagine trying to treat a disease without understanding human anatomy. Samkhya provides a detailed map of how our consciousness, mind, and emotions work. It's not just theory, it's not just intellectual. It is an empirical philosophy that you can test and verify through your own experience, especially through meditative self-reflection. Think of Samkhya as a mirror that reflects the workings of your mind back to you. And through this lens, you can see how your mind operates, what patterns drive your behavior, and most importantly, how to transform mental suffering into clarity and purpose. For example, when someone seeks help for their depression, it's important not to just see a chemical imbalance that requires medication. We need to see the whole person, which includes their mind, emotions, soul, spirit, and consciousness. And through the Samkhya framework, we can comprehend how their consciousness has become obscured by something that's called tamas in the ancient Sanskrit. The word means, in this context, it refers to inertia, ignorance, decay, encompassing old, undigested emotional traumas, repressed emotions, adverse child experiences, trauma, abuse, neglect, negative self-beliefs, and many more things like unprocessed grief and loss or poor lifestyle choices. And we're going to elaborate on tamas much more in detail during the workshop. The key takeaway about tamas is that it is a reflection of a state where vital energy is blocked and awareness has become disconnected from the deeper self. And this understanding informs our treatment approach. We may use antidepressants to address the biochemistry, but we also incorporate specific yogic practices to enhance sattva. Sattva means knowledge, wisdom, illumination, enlightenment, intelligence, balance, clarity, feeling, intuition, meaning, and purpose. And yoga-tantra provides various methods that directly increase sattva and reduce tamas, and using practices like pranayama to move energy or meditation techniques to awaken innate intelligence and intuition supports deeper insight and reconnection with the authentic self, which is the key to healing mental illness. The beauty of Samkhya lies in its ability to provide a comprehensive map of transformation. It reveals not only what's wrong, but also the path back to wholeness. And this will be discussed in the lecture, in the workshop. It clarifies how our minds become fragmented and illustrates the imbalances that arise in the four primary aspects of the mind: the thinking mind, called manas, the ego, called ahamkar, the intelligence, called buddhi, and the storehouse of memories and impressions, called the chitta. But here's what makes Samkhya truly revolutionary. It's not just a philosophical system, it's a practical tool for self-exploration. And when you understand its principles, you can begin to observe how your mind operates. You can recognize patterns of thinking and feeling. You can understand why you get stuck in certain behaviors and see the relationship between your body, mind, and consciousness. And most importantly, you will gain the tools to create positive change. I often tell my patients that mental health isn't just about managing symptoms, it's about understanding the architecture of your own consciousness. And Samkhya provides that architecture, while yoga and tantra provide the practical tools for transformation. Now, let's dive a little deeper into how this actually works. As I alluded to before, when a patient comes to see me, they're often caught up in what Samkhya calls the play of the three gunas: sattva, clarity; rajas, agitation; and tamas, inertia. And most mental health issues involve an excess of rajas and tamas, which can be thought of as excessive desire, obsessions, and ignorance. Overwhelming sattva, which is balance and harmony. Let's think about anxiety, which is often due to excess rajas, creating a sort of restlessness and worry and agitation. Of course, there's also a degree of tamas in the mix. But depression, and on the other hand, often involves purely tamas, creating this heaviness and stagnation. But here's the key. The insight that Samkhya gives us, it shows us that these aren't just psychological states, they are forces of nature that operate throughout our entire being. And one of the most powerful aspects of working with Samkhya is that it allows us to see beyond our suffering. When you're caught in mental distress, it can feel like that's all you are. But Samkhya shows us that our true nature is consciousness itself, pure, unchanging awareness, and this is discovered through meditation. Everything else, thoughts, emotions, patterns, they're energies. It's a play of forces that can be understood and transformed once it can be cognized and understood. And this is where the practical tools come in. So yoga-tantra, yoga therapy, which includes tantra, we can use breath work to balance the gunas, or we can apply specific meditation techniques to strengthen intelligence, the buddhi. We can work with the chakras to integrate different aspects of the mind and use mantras to purify and strengthen mental patterns, get rid of the old negative patterns and build new patterns over time. And throughout all of this, we need to develop what's called the witness consciousness, self-awareness, which enables us to create a certain space, objectivity, from which we can see our thoughts and emotions and the suffering that we're going through. And this approach will be expanded during the 4 workshops. And so what makes this approach so effective? It's effective because it's both systematic and holistic. We're not just treating symptoms, we're working with the entire structure of consciousness. And because Samkhya is an empirical philosophy, everything can be verified through direct experience. And I remember one patient who came to me with very severe anxiety, and through the lens of Samkhya, we could see how her awareness had become trapped in the rajasic thinking mind and disconnected from her deeper intelligence, her buddhi. And by understanding this structure, we could work systematically, at first grounding her energy, and then developing witness consciousness and gradually awakening her connection to the higher mind, to intelligence and buddhi, which is intuition and feeling. And we use mantras to soothe the anxiety. And mantras are very powerful tools for anxiety relief because they redirect attention away from this being trapped in distressing thoughts, these patterns of thinking, back into the sacred sound vibrations. And these sounds, these mantras, are not merely neutral, but they carry within them pure, harmonious qualities, sattvic qualities that naturally soothe the nervous system and elevate consciousness. So engaging with a mantra transforms negative thought patterns into more positive, uplifting ones, replacing the chaotic energy of anxiety with a stable, peaceful state of mind. And this process works on both the immediate level of symptom relief and the deeper level of pattern transformation. And this is why I am so passionate about sharing this knowledge, because Samkhya isn't merely another theory of the mind. It's a practical framework for transformation that has withstood the test of time. And when it's paired with modern medical understanding, it provides a really comprehensive approach to mental health. The beauty of this system is that it empowers people. You're not just a passive recipient of treatment, you become an active explorer of your own consciousness, and you learn to see how your mind works, you understand its patterns, and gain the tools to create positive change. So my approach works in this way. It works with ego, soul, and spirit and consciousness. I integrate these 3 essential dimensions of the human experience: the ego, the soul, and the spirit. And Samkhya and Indian philosophy in general plays a critical role in my ability to map out the dimensions and relationships between these interior parts of us that cannot be easily researched and quantified and reduced down to a simple equation or a simple formula. In the first step, we work to develop a strong, stable ego that can effectively manage daily life and relationships. And here, the ego refers to our identity, encompassing the conscious mind with its rational and emotional components, There's desires and individual memories, which are both positive and negative. And this provides the necessary foundation for deeper healing. Then we engage with the soul level, the realm of personal meaning, emotional depth, and individual purpose that shapes our unique journey through life. And this soul work helps process trauma, integrate experiences, and develop authentic self-expression. At some point, we examine what spirit and consciousness are. And the aim is to feel our connection with something greater in ourselves and in life, whether experienced through a transpersonal state of consciousness, or profound meditation experiences, or a sense of universal truth. But by working with all three levels, ego, soul, and spirit, and bringing consciousness to these, to experience them, to feel them, we can address immediate psychological symptoms while supporting growth towards greater wholeness and well-being. And this comprehensive approach aligns with both existential psychology's focus on meaning and purpose and transpersonal psychology's recognition of experiences that transcend ordinary ego consciousness. And Samkhya plays a critical role in my ability to map out the dimensions and relationships between these interior parts of us, parts that cannot easily be researched and quantified. So through Samkhya's sophisticated understanding of consciousness, we can explore the subtle interplay between ego, soul, and spirit, domains that exist beyond the reach of brain scans and psychological assessments, yet profoundly influence our mental health and well-being. And this ancient system provides a precise cartography of inner experience that helps us to navigate the territories of consciousness that modern science, despite its many advances, it still struggles to fully comprehend or measure. So to conclude, I want to emphasize that this isn't about choosing between Eastern and Western approaches. It's about integrating the best of both worlds. Western medicine offers powerful tools for treating acute conditions and biochemical imbalances, while Samkhya and yoga therapy provide the framework and techniques for deeper transformation. And in my decades of practice, I've seen this repeatedly, how this integrated approach can create lasting change. And when people understand the map of their own consciousness and gain the tools to work with it, remarkable healing becomes possible. Now, if you're interested in learning more about this approach, please visit Big Shakti and explore our upcoming workshops. I hope to see you there. If you would like to know more about what we do at Big Shakti, please go to www.bigshakti.com, where you can see all of our products and offerings. And you can sign up for our free newsletter, and when you do sign up, you're entitled to a 15% discount on your first purchase. And subscribers, of course, get generous discounts on all our products from time to time, especially when we release a new course. All of our courses provide you with the opportunity to experience and understand the powers and mysteries of your mind and spirit. Unwind, take a break from your daily activities, and learn how to use different forms of meditation to achieve inner tranquility, happiness, fulfillment, and spiritual awakening. You will learn the keys to a healthy lifestyle, a calm, clear mind, emotional resilience, and spiritual insight.